Welcome back to the Nutrition Made Simple podcast. At Healthy Steps Nutrition, we believe something as fundamental as nutrition shouldn't be complicated, which is why we focus on a simple, habit-based approach. We know that becoming the healthiest version of yourself isn't just about what you eat. We have to focus on a holistic approach, looking at support system, stress management, mindset, lifestyle, sleep, exercise, and of course, nutrition to help our clients become the healthiest versions of themselves. My name is Nicole Aucoin. I'm a registered dietitian and founder of Healthy Steps Nutrition, CrossFit HSN, and HSN Mentoring. I'm also the author of the Healthy Kids Cookbook, 100% kid-approved recipes the entire family will love. You can find it on Amazon. In this podcast, we will be teaching you how to make health a way of life one step at a time. I'm so excited to have today's guest on. He is a friend who owns a CrossFit gym not too far away from us. Him and his family also go to the same church that Jason and I go to, and Justin Brown had the opportunity to speak at Coastal Community Church last weekend on health and wellness and why you need to prioritize your health to live out the purpose that God has intended for you. After we got done with the last service, I said, hey, why don't you come over this week? Let's record a podcast about health and wellness. He is a wealth of knowledge. Not only is he a Masters Games athlete, he competed at the CrossFit Games last year in 2021 and took 12th. He's a chiropractor and owns a CrossFit gym. Let's just say he's dedicated his life to helping people get healthy and preventing disease. He also makes fitness really fun in a family event. It's not just him working out. His family does it together. So in this podcast, we talk about his road to the games and some of the sacrifices that him and his family gave to get him to the level that he was at the CrossFit Games. We also talk about some simple tips that you can do to better yourself as an athlete, but also model amazing behavior so that your kids grow up realizing why fitness is important and how to have an active lifestyle. We will get to this podcast right after this message. Did you know that we have a Facebook group, Nutrition Made Simple, powered by Healthy Steps Nutrition? In this Facebook group, we post nutrition tips, healthy recipes, lots of different things. So make sure that you click the link in the show notes to join that Facebook group. One more thing. If you are interested in listening to the message that Justin and I and Pastor TJ McCormick spoke at Coastal Community Church last weekend, click the link in the show notes. We will go ahead and add that link so that you can watch that message. I hope it inspires you to make health a way of life. Enjoy this episode with Dr. Justin Brown. Justin Brown, welcome to the Nutrition Made Simple podcast.
Thank you so much, Nicole. This is an awesome opportunity to share with all your great people around the world.
I'm so excited to talk to you. And we actually had an opportunity to chat on a bigger stage at Coastal Community Church all about health and wellness last weekend. And I learned a lot just listening from you and your story and how fitness impacts health, wellness, and really longevity.
Yeah, absolutely. We had this great opportunity to speak at 4 different services at our church and really just kind of talk about the critical nature of nutrition, the critical nature of moving your body. So as two CrossFitters, as people that own boxes, as people that essentially promote this lifestyle day in and day out, it was awesome to be able to kind of teach these simple principles that have such a huge impact on how people, not only just how they feel, but how they're able to interact with their kids, how they're able to maintain their independence throughout life, people, how they feel about themselves from a self-worth standpoint. I mean, we could go on and on about this, but it was so powerful to be able to present that. So yeah, great opportunity. And I learned so much just listening to you. In fact, one time the pastor asked you a question, you went on, and I was just sitting there learning so much. I have no idea what the question was when he turned to me. And I was just like, yeah, what she said.
I think I remember that point. It's funny. You brought up a couple quotes and statistics that I've actually used this week. One of them talking about, activity increasing your quality of life. Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I did some research looking into longevity and the role of physical activity. And so the research shows in this cohort study, looking at 13 different studies and kind of taking all that information and digesting it, you actually, on average, if you are active 30 to 60 minutes per day, 4 to 5 days per week, you can add 5 quality years of life. So that's significant. I mean, those are not years that you're dependent on others. Those are not years in a nursing home. Those are actually years where you're doing life on your own terms and you're enjoying like the people that you want to be around. You're essentially able to travel. You're able to be mobile and walk and like do all these things that are important towards quality of life. So it's life and death. When we talk about activity and moving your body, I mean, clearly our bodies are made to move. So I know most of you listening to this, get this and preach this, but, sometimes our families are difficult to get through to. Sometimes, our friends don't necessarily have the same lifestyle. So, I mean, it's critical. It's not just a matter of, it being about aesthetics or it being about, how well am I going to do in the open this year? But it's like, this is going to add years to your life. So it's really a lifestyle, Nicole. And I think that's what you and I were both on the same page with. It's like, if we can just get people to sort of make this their lifestyle, gosh, I mean, it changes how many drugs you take. It changes how many doctor's offices. It changes how many surgeries you're going to get. It certainly is a much cheaper lifestyle because people will just throw all their wealth away trying to stay healthy. Whereas if you just invest in this lifestyle, it's just going to add so much richness to you throughout your years.
Could not agree more. And, you talked a lot about health, but mental health is a big piece of exercise too. And so many people use exercise to help manage issues like depression and so many other things going on. So I want to bring up a story that you talked a lot about because I think it's important for people to understand like your why, right? Like you are a chiropractor, you own a CrossFit gym, you are also a games athlete. Like you are in it. If we think of anyone who is in it with fitness, you were talking a little bit about with the statistics of 5 longer years, and you brought up your dad at one point. Talk to me a little bit about like your motivation to be so involved with helping people get healthy through fitness and preventative care.
Yeah, I mean, just going back, my family really wasn't fitness driven. They weren't really nutrition conscious. They were the average American family.
Right.
We're going to work hard and basically, go about eating fast food a good 4 to 5 days a week. But my dad really was big into getting me involved with sports. So I was a soccer player. I played basketball. I ran track. I did swim team real young, and essentially, sports were part of our life, but it wasn't like, okay, you're gonna need to eat well to fuel yourself for these things. It wasn't really a lifestyle. It was just kind of like, we want to get you guys, involved with these sports more from like a friend standpoint, which was cool. But going through, I ended up excelling in soccer, and I was playing a lot of soccer at high level, and I had a really severe sports injury or back injury in my training, and I ended up going to see a chiropractor at 13 years old. And I had 3 compression fractures and Schmorl's nodes in my spine. And so it was like, wow, like everything that really kind of defined me at that time was taken away. So I ended up going to see a chiropractor, and the guy was on his feet, putting his hands on people, pictures of athletes all over the walls. And he seemed genuinely like happy to be doing what he was doing. And I was like, this is really cool. And so after spending, a few months in that office and him working with me, I was able to get back on the field, and that really planted a seed for me. Like, gosh, I think this is something I may want to do later in life. So fast forward, my dad ends up not being well, has diabetes, has high blood pressure, heart disease, and just kind of, I would always be like, Dad, when are we going to work out? When are we going to work out? When are we going to work out? And eventually he'd just be like, well, we're going to do it after I retire. We'll do it after I move to Florida. We'll do it later, right? So it was always like this tomorrow syndrome. And ultimately, my dad had a stroke and then he ended up having like 6 more strokes within a year. And so and then he ended up moving in with me. And then it was a whole decline from there. And he really spent the last 2 years of his life on his back. And although he shares the same birthday with my youngest daughter, he never got to meet her.
Okay, I have goosebumps right now. You didn't tell me all of that.
Yeah,
Wow.
So my youngest daughter was born, I have 3. So I have a 9-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 5-year-old. Well, almost 5, February 9th. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that's the way God works out is like, and they have the same exact personality.
Really?
Yeah, same exact personality. So, yeah, so my youngest was born on February 9th, and that's my dad's birthday.
Wow.
So, but they never got to meet because my dad was at hospice care in Colorado at that time. But in the end, it really triggered me watching my parents not have this healthy lifestyle. Really put me in a 180. And so I think we get to make decisions, be like, we can either play the victim role and be like, oh, well, I'm not healthy because this is just what I eat. This is what I'm used to. This is what I'm comfortable with. And, continue that same cycle, or you get to choose, am I going to break that cycle? And for me, it was like a 180.
Wow. And I think that at the end of the day, there has to be motivation behind your decisions, right? And a true reason why you do all of the hard things that you trained so hard for the CrossFit Games last year. You competed in 2021 at the CrossFit Games, and it was so fun to watch you. My husband and I were there, and so was Shayla and TJ. You had a big team cheering for you. But the truth is you did break that cycle, and it really trickles down to your entire family. And I know you and Michelle are such amazing role models for the girls, and you guys are so involved with sports. And one of the cool things that you talked about is this like filter that you guys make decisions through as a family and deciding like, okay, what are we going to do? What are we going to invest time in? I'd love for you to talk a little bit about, there's so many families and parents that listen to our podcast that we work with. And sometimes we can, as parents, get busy doing all of the things that probably aren't the best things for our family. So talk to me a little bit about this filter that you and Michelle use when you make decisions.
So we like to keep our life as simple as possible.
Okay.
If that's possible with everything that is going on. And so we have this filter that makes decision-making very easy, which is, does this support or is this in alignment with our faith, with our family, with our fitness, and having fun? And so we pass things through that filter, and it's either a definitely or a definitely not. And it's like, we don't really play in the middle. And so, like, for example, when you ask me, hey, we should do this podcast, I'm like, yeah, absolutely. That's going to, support fitness. That's going to support family. That's something I consider being fun, is, sharing my heart around health and wellness. So it's like, definitely, let's do it. So it just makes life simple, and it keeps us in alignment. It's definitely challenging, running multiple businesses, having the family, being in the stage that we're at, and then, trying to train to be one of the fittest people in the world in my age group. It was, there's a lot of demand. So there was a lot of no's is what I would tell you. So for a good 2 years, the answer most of the time was no, relative to kind of doing extracurriculars. At the same time, anytime I got a chance to bring the kids to the gym, like if I know I'm doing, row intervals for the next hour, I'm like, okay, let's go get rowers. And I'd be putting my 9-year-old and 7-year-old on rowers next to me. Now they may only last for, one of those 10 intervals, but, but at least they'd be on there. And then we just play a game, because I know like the more we can get them around that environment, the more that they're going to feel comfortable. They're going to feel like, this is something that, that I'm used to, and that I can essentially excel at, and just making like fitness part of that life. As many times that we would, bring my daughter, she'd go, on her bike, and I'd run, and so it's like anytime I could really kind of bring them in to that environment, kind of help them see my training, and also instill work ethic.
Yep.
Gosh, I mean, one of the awesome things my parents did give me was like really hard work ethic, and CrossFit is a sport that rewards those that are kind of willing to work really hard and endure and, overcome adversity. So I'm very grateful for that. And so we want to instill those same principles in our girls.
And you guys are very intentional with bringing them to the gym. Like I see Michelle posting pictures all the time. The girls are at the gym having fun and doing things together as a family. I think so many times as, parents or even myself at times like, okay, fitness is a priority for me, but do we always get the kids involved with fitness? Do they see us in the gym and are they around us? And even if it's not going to the gym, can you be active on the weekends? I know your girls play soccer, or at least some of them do. You coach soccer, right? Like you are involved. I don't know how you have all this time in the day, honestly. But you're involved and it's a family affair, which I think it really should be. As parents, we have to model the behavior that we want for our kids in regards to fitness and nutrition. And they see you doing it and they want to be a part of it.
Yeah, I would love to tell you like my kids don't spend hours on YouTube. Truth is they do, but we have to offset that. I mean, kids on average are spending 7 to 8 hours a day of screen time. So we have to offset that. And yeah, we get moving. So, we get out in front of the house, we're playing tennis, we're throwing football, we're on bikes, we're doing like roller derby, like races. And it's, we just get outside and move. And, they pick up on that and, they kind of, that competitive spirit rubs off as well. So I just think it's critical just to get outside. I mean, you talked about mental health and, being active reduces mental illness by 25%. There's no antidepressant that's ever been shown to be as effective as regular physical activity.
Wow.
I mean, major. So I know for me, like, I'd love to tell you I do fitness because like I just love the way it feels when I'm burying myself on an assault bike. But the truth is, it's like my wife will tell you, she's like, no, you need to go work out because it's like it is clearly it's a mental cleansing for me, and it's an outlet. I mean, it's definitely an outlet. It keeps me sane. And I think for everybody's sake, it's really good that I'm into fitness.
I think for both of us, my husband probably would say the same thing. He has definitely told me to get to the gym before. Not for any other reason, like you need to be in a better mood. You should go work out.
100%.
So let's talk a little bit about your road. So you were a CrossFit Games athlete and you also own a business. And I think sometimes, as busy people, we have to shift priorities a little bit to figure out what we want to reach our goals. And then after we reach those, we reassess what are our goals now. Talk to me a little bit about your road to the CrossFit Games and what took a back seat and what took a front seat.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. I mean, wherever your energy and focus grows. And so for 15 years as a chiropractor, I really just was totally committed and buckled into like serving people through chiropractic. And after graduating, I went to Seattle, practiced for 2 years under great mentorship. And I do a very unique upper cervical technique called NUCA. And I was in 2007, I brought this technique to South Florida. I was the first one doing it in all of South Florida. And I just was like completely committed, working crazy hours just to grow and build and get this message out about something that nobody even knew about. And we built a practice, and within 3 years, I had to hire more chiropractors to be able to serve the people. And we just kept growing. And then I, got to a point where I wanted to open up multiple practices. So I currently have 3 practices. And then a few years ago, my CrossFit gym closed down. And so my wife was like, just buy the equipment. We'll probably, open a gym. I'm like, I don't really want to open another business. She's like, no, it'll be fine. So
I could see Michelle having that conversation.
It'll be fine. Just go ahead and do it. I'm like, yeah, perfect. That's what I want. I want another business. So it ends up that we ended up opening a gym as well. But the point of the story is, between that, owning the 3 chiropractic offices, owning the gym, I have a consulting company as well where I consult chiropractors and just kind of talk to them about how to build their business and kind of create the life that they want and have balance and maintain marriages and all the important things.
Right.
It was like, okay, God keeps putting on my heart, like, you really should go for this. And I really never felt like I had completely self-actualized as an athlete. And so I was always a mediocre CrossFitter. I got into it. You know, my best friend in California was like, you're going to love it. You got to do this. And I was so reluctant to try CrossFit. And so once I got into it, I was like, oh, this is really fun. But it was really just my hour of fitness is what it was for a long time, about 7 years of that. But in the end, it was like, gosh, I've built all these businesses and, you know, we've been so blessed in that frame. But I would hate to live with the regret of wondering if I totally committed myself as a CrossFit athlete, how good could I get? And I just kept having that feeling of like, I really should try to go for it. And, you know, the businesses are in a position where we've got great people. They're trained really well. And, you know, this is your time. Like, as you know, these windows as a master's athlete, it's like when you're on the lower end of the age group, it's like you've got this window, you know, there's very few people that are over, like, for example, in my age group, 40 to 44, there's not a lot of 44-year-olds, if you notice. So it definitely matters. And so I was like, gosh, I'm 39 and, you know, I'd love to go for it and see what happens. And that's when I really was like, you know, now's the time. And I asked my wife, I was like, what are your thoughts about that? And she was just like, go for it. Like, I don't want to be talking to you about regretting not going for it later down the road.
Yeah.
So, and I was talking about one of those quotes. It's like the pain of failure is never as severe as the pain of regret. And I just didn't want to be sitting in a chair talking to my great grandkids one day, be like, I really would have been a good CrossFitter. I wanted to be like, you know what? Like when I went for it, I achieved it and I was on the world stage and it was full commitment. It was a big decision. It definitely there was sacrifice, you know, a lot for the family. There was sacrifice for my businesses. There was definitely significant sacrifice. And at the same time, I wouldn't change it for the world. Like it was super meaningful. It still settles in. Yeah. Like that I was, you know, I literally competed against people that were Olympians. You know, I competed against people that get paid, you know, have sponsors to get paid to exercise. And it was like, I'm this guy that was like working on businesses and decided to commit to CrossFit.
Which is amazing and shows hard work does pay off, right? Yeah. And, you know, I think at one point you were talking in some of the services and our message changed every single service. It was not the same thing at church, but one of the services you were talking about, hey, I didn't do this alone. I had a spiritual coach. I had a nutrition coach. I had a, you know, fitness coach. You had a lot of people on your team to help support you to get you to where you needed to be.
Right. Yeah, 100%. So I really did, when I said I was going to commit to this, I just decided to surround myself with the people that, you know, I thought would really kind of help me get to that goal. So I hired a coach, a programmer, and I did what, you know, most of all the coaches say never to do. I switched coaches like after my first year. So I'll back up in 2020 when I really got serious. I guess it was really 2019. I hired a coach. I hired Bill Grunler. He'd been a master's athlete. His brother's a master's athlete at the games. And, you know, I don't know why exactly I chose Bill, but it was good. I got really strong, ended up going through to the age group online qualifier. And I placed 18th in that year. Now that was COVID year. So the games were canceled for masters. And, you know, in the end, they only were taking the top 10. So there was one workout, there was a bar muscle up toes to bar workout, which I got like 69th in. So that pulled me way back in that qualifier. But I also had like 2 or 3 top 10 finishes in the age group on the qualifier. So that was a good year. I mean, I literally went from like 300th, never making the age group on the qualifier, to 18th.
That's awesome.
So there was like major growth in that year of just like complete commitment. And then I got a sports psychologist. So he really kind of helped me just like kind of bringing it down like to simplicity and chunking it down and staying positive and really just working on my mental game. And so that was a big piece. I was just devouring anything to like help me get in peak state and zone, and just like devouring books relative to like learning how to get into that state. because so much of it really is the mental, rigors of training, and just like, how do you just kind of keep excited about going in and trashing your body day after day?
Right.
Yeah, for a lot of hours. So, so much of it is just that consistency. So people always talk about, oh, it's the consistency, at the competition. Well, it's also your consistency of your mental game. It's the consistency of your nutrition. It's the consistency of your sleep. It's the consistency of doing all of your weaknesses all the time. So there's so many different pieces that go into it. And that was a good year. And that really kind of started to give me some confidence around, like, you know what, I think I can do this. And then there was a lot of changes with CrossFit, and they were like, we're taking 20. And I didn't even know if I was going to go after it again, just because of all the sacrifices and, what went into it. And my wife was like, you're going to go for it again. So, so fast forward to 2021 season, and ended up hiring training think tank, Kyle Ruth. I did compete in Arizona, and the woman who won the 40 to 44 at Legends was Myra Brandt. And she is, if you don't know, she's two-time games athlete, placed 5th twice, superstar gymnast, super strong, crazy CrossFitter. And so we connected there, and she's like, hey, if you ever want to, train together, let me know. And we just started training together like 2 to 3 times a week.
Really?
So that was a huge catalyst. Like, for me, she's just really good at stuff I'm not good at. I happen to be a little bit better at some things that she's not the best at. So we would really kind of work together and push each other. And she's just super fun to train with. And so it was a huge help having somebody else kind of going through this, being able to bounce ideas off of, and then, being able to do some of the qualifier workouts, not necessarily together, but just, as a team, essentially.
Yeah.
And then I went up to a few training camps in the Atlanta area. This is Travis Mayer's gym. And, it was pretty cool because you go up there and, Noah's training there. You have Travis, you have Andrew Alessandro Pacelli was up there. Lauren Fisher was up there. And, the whole team that made the games as well. My coach, Kyle Ruth and the team there. So it was a really unique environment to be around elite CrossFitters, but, also other games athletes. I mean, there's another guy that, Kyle was coaching, that Eamon Coyne, who I got to, be there and train with and sort of compare notes with. So, yeah, I mean, putting that team around me was a big deal. I mean, I have a local weightlifting coach. I was doing gymnastics every Sunday with Myra at her gym. And then just nutrition, like getting my macros down and just trying to maintain weight. It was really difficult for me to maintain weight with the volume of training. So I was spending a lot of time late night just forcing calories, and just trying to keep them as quality as possible, trying to put quality foods in. But it was definitely a challenge, just trying to maintain body weight and trying to maintain strength while doing the amount of conditioning I was doing.
You were exercising like multiple hours a day in your peak. Right? Like you were in it, and
Yes.
a lot of other things had to take a back seat because of that. I mean, there's what I'm hearing you say over and over again is, hey, I had a growth mindset. I decided that I was going to do something and I committed to it. And then I surrounded myself with the people to help me get to where I wanted to go. And I think for so many listeners, they struggle because they haven't surrounded themselves with the right people, and they don't have someone to keep them accountable. And TJ brought this up a couple of times, but Shayla and I work out together almost every morning. And I know if she texts me, I'm going to show up, she's going to show up, and we're showing up for ourselves, but we're also showing up for each other. TJ's a little different for you and him. Yeah. But, I think part of staying on track and staying consistent is having a support system to keep you accountable. Talk to me a little bit about how you help your members at your gym even, and what you say to your people regarding accountability and consistency.
Yeah, I think in the end, I mean, you're going to know if you put the time in, you're going to know. And if you have any doubt when it comes to that level of competition, you're probably not going to make it. So you have to be your own best advocate, number one. Like you have to believe, you have to trick yourself into thinking you're this person that you may not yet be, and start to act like that, walk like that, think like that. I mean, so I really had to get myself in a belief standpoint where I was going to be, one of the fittest people on earth at my age. And I had to be like, what would the fittest person in the world do right now? I would have to ask myself that question. How hard would they push this next run, right? Like if I'm running next to the fastest person in the world, how fast are they running? And am I running with them? And if I'm not, kick it up a notch. So I would ask myself these questions that would just create this self-belief. And if I didn't believe, how could I expect anybody else around me to believe? And so I was very careful to keep the haters away and surround myself with only people that were like, you got this. Like, you're looking good. You're getting stronger. You're getting faster. Your conditioning's better. Like and I don't need people to blow smoke, but I also just didn't need people to be naysayers when what I really needed was a complete, support team. And it was awesome at the games to have. I think there was like 8 to 10 or 12 people there that were all like pulling for me. And that was really special. But, in the end, I think, you want to be around people that believe in you and that are going to encourage you, because there's going to be times when, you will have self-doubt. I mean, everybody will have moments of that. But at the same time, like if you put the time in and you've got that support system around you and you got people that like genuinely want to see you succeed, it'll make a difference. And there's going to be ups and downs. Like everybody deals with ups and downs, but having that support system is what's going to make like that day when you just absolutely don't want to go to the gym. You'll be like, you know what? Like I was counting like on myself, and I was counting on my wife took so much of the work with our family that I was like, if I don't go like and do my best, like I'm letting my whole family down. Like they've sacrificed so much. Like, yeah, just go in and get started. And we talked a little bit about that this weekend. It's like, just get started. Just go warm up. Okay, go warm up. All right, just go through your first lifting piece. Okay. And then, if there's like a 6-rounder and I'm like, maybe I'll make it a 4-rounder. It's like, no, that's not what the fittest person in the world would do. It's like, get through 4 rounds, get through your 5th round, and then be proud of yourself that you got through your 6th round. And, just maybe today it's not like full accelerator to the floor. Maybe today you're going to work on your breathing. You're going to maintain your pace better. You're going to, look at one specific area, like a weakness. Maybe it's like toes to bar for me. And it's like, you're going to just be more relaxed and control your breathing more while you do your toes to bar. And then learn, like, what can you learn from that workout? I mean, if you're really open to it, this is a very different way of thinking about exercise, but like every workout teaches you something if you're open to it, And so it's like, what can you learn from that workout today? And, I would just kind of keep myself, in that state of mind, which just kind of makes the training go better. It gives you a little more certainty. It gives you more confidence. And quite frankly, like when the age group online qualifier came out, I didn't care what got called. Like it didn't matter what the programming was, because I kind of felt like no matter what it is, it's going to be in my wheelhouse. Like it's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted it to be. And when it got called, I was like, yeah, those are all my strengths. This is going to be amazing.
The thing is though, it's the self-talk, right? I mean, there's workouts. I don't remember what open workout it was last year, but in the middle of it, I'm like, man, this is so hard. This is so difficult. And I'm never like that in the middle of a workout, but that's what I was saying to myself. And it was exponentially harder. I ended up screwing up something and like stepping up when I was supposed to jump up for box jumps and had to redo it. And I ended up doing it that night. So I did it twice in one day, and I did better the second time. But the second time I was like, okay, this isn't that bad. You got this. Like a couple more reps. And the thing is what you say in your head is really what drives you to either have a really good workout or a terrible workout.
Yeah, it can go either way pretty quickly.
Yeah, so quickly. So, if you're listening to this and you don't always have the most positive outlook on working out, like start changing the narrative in your head. I got this. A couple more reps. You're doing great. Like say those things even out loud if you need to, so that you can hear yourself. And I promise you will start feeling better. Last thing, as we wrap up, you mentioned Michelle a couple times, but I know she is like the biggest, literally, she was a cheerleader, which is why one of the reasons why I love her so much, but she was a huge cheerleader for you. And talk to me a little bit about the support system with your spouse to do all of the things that you guys do.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a team approach. She, would understand that, no, we can't go on a date night late because, well, number one, anything you order at a restaurant is going to be full of salt, and I'm going to be training at 6 a.m. So I'm not going to, I get this salt block. Like if I eat out, the food has just so much sodium that I feel like it's dehydrating me. So we weren't going out to eat like we normally do our date nights on Fridays. And like, we would just have to figure out a different way, do a coffee date or do something a little bit different. We were turning down pretty much all of our social activities just to make sure like I was getting rest and I was like sleeping properly and doing all those things. But it goes back and forth. And anytime I could like kind of spend time with the family and the kids and give Michelle a break. And, she has her own business now with I Help Moms, and, it's now I support her. So, it definitely goes back and forth. We genuinely want to see each other shine, and we totally support each other. So, I think it's really critical for you to have your own dreams, and my wife doesn't just like get behind me. Like, a lot of times I'm behind her, actually most of the time. So, she shines in her own light and she's awesome. And I know that's not how everybody is, but for us, it's really about like, we're going to believe in each other. We're going to move each other forward. Sometimes we're going to have a difficult conversation and hold each other accountable. And my wife often would be like, hey, I don't think you ate enough today. You didn't eat enough. You need to eat more. You need to eat more. And so like I had meal delivery. She got a chef. I mean, there was a lot that happened that she was totally supportive of from a time standpoint, from an emotional standpoint, and even from a financial standpoint. She was like, really behind it and go for it. But yeah, I think that's it. It's part of love and respect. It's part of, keeping this happy cycle within your marriage of just, don't tell me you love me, but show me, take out the garbage, empty the dishwasher, spend time with the kids, just do the things that are important that I understand with her love language that are going to kind of drive her, motivate her. And, she gives me the grace to be like, on a Sunday afternoon, I could be, there spending time with the kids, but I need to go do a session. I need to go swim. I need to go run. I need to, there would be these other things. And she was completely supportive of it, and if she wasn't, I would be double focused. I would be swimming, thinking about why am I not with my kids? And if that's the case, obviously I'm not going to get anything out of that session because I'm going to be sitting there exercising in regret, in guilt. And obviously that's going to work against me emotionally and physically. So it was really just knowing that she was completely on board and having that, authentic, really support for this target, this goal that really seemed pretty selfish at the time, but she knew it was important to me and I honor that. So now that we're like post games and I could spend so much more time with the family, it's like she sees how much, that I'm also giving her that time, giving her that space to be able to go and try to create this tech company that is gaining traction. So, this next week we're going to a venture capital seminar up in Orlando, and it's like, yeah, all right, I'm going to take time off work. We're going to get babysitter for the kids and we're going to go do this. And it's like, so there's this exchange, and it's it's love and respect.
Absolutely. And I think looking at like health and wellness and optimal health and having people to support you and Michelle both are on the same page with nutrition. While you guys don't follow the same nutrition plans, like you both prioritize eating healthy and what your kids see and what your kids put in their body. And there's not two different philosophies coming down when it comes to raising your kids in nutrition and health. And the same thing with exercise. Like we talked a little bit about all the fun stuff you do with activity with the kids, but Michelle's right there with you guys and you do it together. And I think it's such an amazing thing when we see families like this that can really prioritize health and wellness together so that you're modeling together the behaviors you want your kids to grow up and see.
Yeah, I mean, we want fitness to be, a lifestyle for them and a legacy. I mean, even just the way they think about health, right now when, kids are really scared that, they're masked up, they're getting shots and all these things. Like my kids they don't do those things. They don't think that way. They know that, their body is self-sustaining, that God made their body to be healthy, that, anytime they have any type of ear infection or don't feel well, like I check them, I get them adjusted. And I got to tell you, Nicole, like none of my kids have ever had a full-blown ear infection, because as soon as anything comes up, we get them checked, we clear their nervous system, and they wake up, they forget that they even had a problem the night before. So it's really powerful that they have this understanding and this principle that, that through our nutrition and through our fitness and through chiropractic care and just the even the mindset, that we have a completely different philosophy and perspective relative to where health even comes from. So right now, like I think most of the kids are just in this very strange place mentally, and even physically, because they're scared. They're being told that everything outside is dangerous. They can't talk to people. They can't touch things. And I'm really concerned about what the long-term ramifications of that type of messaging are on all the youth right now. My kids are not getting that. They're in a school where the masks are optional, and they're the only ones in their class that don't have masks on. So it's very interesting that, this natural way of health, this way of kind of having an honor for the power of the body to maintain health and stay well is unique. Like that should be the majority, whereas right now it's the minority. And, my belief is that just really comes down from, the messaging from the media, from big pharma, and essentially, the people that are just kind of making money on people's fear.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. All right, as we wrap up, what is one actionable step that you would recommend someone take if they are not exercising at all right now?
Yeah, if someone's not exercising at all, I would just say, number one, give yourself some grace around the thought that, I'm exercise isn't for me, or that I can't do it, or it's like I'm too far gone. I would say it's like, just put your shoes on. Like, find somebody that would just go for a walk with you and make it part of your life. Make it as common as brushing your teeth. Like that, okay, at 6:30 in the morning, I go walk. And if you can only walk to your mailbox, you walk to your mailbox. If you can only walk to, around your block, then you'll do that. But just baby steps, chunk it down. I mean, I would take any of my most difficult workouts and I would just be like, okay, what's the very first piece? And then let's just get through that. And then we're going to get to the next piece. And so I would say like that would be the first thing, is just get moving. If you can't walk, if your joints hurt too much, then literally just get on the floor and stretch. There's so many programs, whether it be, I don't need to plug them all, but there's so many programs where you can just move your body and stretch your joints. And you're going to find that just that simple motion and mobility through your joints is going to help free your body up, and you're going to just get benefits from that. So whatever the simplest thing you can imagine would be, the simplest thing, that's where you should start. I think so many people try to jump into it. We see it in the gym, right? People come in all motivated and excited. They want to prove to everybody how they can do it. And then we don't see them back. It's like, what happened? Well, they just blew themselves out. They have been completely inactive. They've had the sedentary lifestyle. They get motivated and then they feel so sore they can't walk. So we really try to onboard people slow for that purpose. But sometimes you just can't protect people from their ego.
So true. So, if you're listening to this, take one step, like find someone to support you, do it consistently. I think at the end of the day, like if you have all these great intentions, but you only do them one time, you're not going to be able to truly achieve the goals or live the life that you were meant to live. So be consistent, and hopefully you found all of these tips helpful. Dr. Justin Brown, thank you for joining us on the Nutrition Made Simple podcast. I know we were going to talk about chiropractic, but we ran out of time, which we joked about before we started.
Yes.
We'll have you come back and we'll talk all about chiropractic another time.
It's been super fun. Thank you so much, Nicole.
I hope you enjoyed that episode with Dr. Justin Brown. I think what stood out to me the most is his diligence with sticking with all of the sacrifices he had to make to reach the goal that he had to make the CrossFit Games. I think sometimes we pick what we want now instead of what we want most. And using that filter that he talked about, is it in line with my faith? Is it in line with my family? Is it in line with fitness? And is it in line with fun? That filter will help you make some amazing decisions. And maybe you have a different filter, but having your decisions that you make go through a filter so it's easy for you to say, heck yes, I will do this, or no, this is not a good time to do that opportunity. Especially as business owners and busy people, we have a lot of different opportunities, and sometimes we can get pulled in different directions that isn't the best yes that we can possibly give ourselves. Well, as always, I think I like to give you one actionable tip when you leave this podcast. So this week I want to talk about mindset. Justin talked a lot about his mindset and how he gets through workouts and how he just takes the next step instead of thinking about all the steps that he has to take. So next time you're in a workout, I want you to actively say, I can do this. This is easy. Yes, I got this. Say this stuff out loud over and over again, and watch how your mindset shifts, how much easier things are when you have that positive self-talk and you can talk your way through and you have the confidence that you can do all of these amazing things. The truth is you are limited by your thoughts, your abilities. You can always get better. But if you constantly are breaking yourself down instead of building yourself up, you're never going to reach your full potential. So this week, let's practice our mindset, our positive self-talk, so that we can be our own best cheerleader. And then surround ourselves with the people who are those amazing cheerleaders. Well, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Please don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss another episode. And also don't forget to click the link in the show notes so that you can listen to the message that we had at Coastal Community Church and connect with Dr. Justin Brown. We'll see you back here next week.